The storm outside the shuttle was the color of dying stars. Lightning danced across the alien sky, glowing green and violet. Inside, Captain Daniel Reeve sat with his wrists bound by silver cuffs that shimmered with living light. He wasn't a prisoner of war, not exactly, but he wasn't free either. 33 years older than him, the woman waiting at the altar was not human. Her name was Sarai of the Veil Dominion, and across the galaxy, her name was spoken like a prayer and a threat. She was the matriarch of 1,000 systems, a queen among warriors, and Daniel, a human soldier from a battered Earth colony, was being forced to marry her. The Council called it a peace treaty. The Vial called it tradition. Daniel called it insanity. When the shuttle landed on the crystal platform, the sound was like a heartbeat. Every alien eye in the Grand Hall turned toward him. Their skin shimmered in colors no human palate could describe, and their voices hummed in frequencies that made the air itself vibrate. Sarai stood at the center, tall, graceful, her eyes glowing like molten gold. Her expression revealed nothing, but Daniel could feel her power pressing against his mind. It was said she could crush a man's will without lifting a finger, and now she was to be his wife. Step forward. Human, the high voice commanded. Daniel obeyed. Each step echoing louder than thunder. He wore no armor, just the ceremonial white of a Union prisoner. Every instinct in his soldier's heart screamed to fight or flee, but he had no choice. When he stopped before her, Sarai finally spoke. Her voice was soft, ancient, filled with weight and warning. "You do not wish this union," she said, not as a question, but as a truth. Daniel's jaw tightened. "No," he said simply. For a moment, silence ruled the hall. Then, Sarai did something no one expected. She smiled. It wasn't kind. It was the smile of a predator who had found something interesting. "Good," she whispered. "I despise obedience." The alien crowd hissed, ripples of disapproval shaking the hall. But Sarai raised her hand, and the storm outside answered her command. Bolts of violet lightning flared in the skies, mirroring her heartbeat, and in that instant, Daniel realized this woman wasn't just powerful. She was connected to her world. The storm was her breath, the light her blood as the ceremony began. A strange energy coiled around them, a living bond, part light, part shadow, slid from her palm to his. It burned, searing symbols into his wrist that glowed with alien fire. Pain ripped through him, but he didn't scream. He wouldn't give them that satisfaction. The alien priest began chanting, words ancient as stars. The air shimmered, and suddenly Daniel saw flashes, visions of worlds burning, human fleets falling, and Sarai standing among ruins, her eyes filled with both rage and sorrow. He didn't understand, but he knew. This bond was more than marriage. It was a merging of souls, and something inside him began to change. When the ritual ended, the crowd dispersed in silence. Sarai turned to him. "You will stay in my chambers tonight," she said. Her tone wasn't romantic, it was command. Daniel met her gaze. "If you think this will make me loyal," he said. "You're wrong." She paused, the faintest trace of amusement in her eyes. "Oh, I don't need your loyalty." "Human," she replied. "I need your fire." That night, Daniel stared through the glass walls of her palace. The alien city below pulsed like a living creature. Every building moved with rhythm. Every light breathed. He could feel the hum of alien energy deep in his bones. The mark on his wrist burned softly like a heartbeat that wasn't his. And somewhere beyond the horizon, a human fleet moved in secret, ready to strike the vile world if negotiations failed. Daniel didn't know that he was no longer just a soldier. He was now the key to survival, because the bond between him and Sarai had awakened something ancient, something neither human nor alien understood. And as the alien queen stood at her balcony, watching him with unreadable eyes, she whispered to the stars, "The war is not over. It has only just begun." The human and the queen share a bond that defies science. What awakens within them could save or destroy both species. Morning came with silver light that poured through the living walls of the Veil Palace. The architecture itself shifted slowly, like a creature breathing in its sleep. Daniel woke to that motion, uneasy but fascinated. The bond mark on his wrist still glowed faintly, pulsing in rhythm with something deep inside the planet. He looked around the vast chamber, walls made of transparent crystal that shimmered with alien constellations. In the center stood Sarai, her long violet hair flowing like liquid metal. She was meditating, hovering inches above the floor, wrapped in spirals of golden energy. When she opened her eyes, they glowed brighter than before. "You didn't sleep much," she said. "I'm not used to being married to someone who can summon lightning," Daniel replied. His voice dry. She almost smiled again, but her eyes were heavy, haunted. "This world feeds on emotion," she said. "It senses your fear and curiosity." Daniel crossed his arms. "Then it must be full already." Sarai turned to him. "You still think you were forced into this for politics?" He frowned. "Wasn't I?" She shook her head slowly. "No, human, this bond was chosen by something older than either of us." She touched the glowing mark on his wrist, and suddenly the world vanished. Daniel saw visions again, this time clearer. He saw Sarai, centuries younger, leading armies across dying suns. He saw a war between gods and mortals, and at the center, always a human face, a face that looked exactly like his. He staggered back, gasping. "What was that?" "Echoes," Sarai whispered, "from before time fractured." She looked at him as if she was seeing a ghost. "You have his eyes," she murmured. "The eyes of the first warrior who defied the Celestials." Daniel tried to speak but couldn't. Every image, every emotion from the vision burned in his chest. He saw a human man standing beside Sarai, fighting side by side against impossible odds, and then dying in her arms. The pain felt real, as if it was his own memory. Sarai turned away, her voice trembling. "When you were brought here, I thought you were a weapon sent by your kind," she said. "But now I see. The stars have brought you back." Daniel blinked. "Back? You think I'm that man reborn?" "I don't think," she replied. "I know." Before he could argue, alarms echoed through the palace. A deep metallic hum filled the air. Sarai's eyes flared and her calm vanished. "Your people have arrived," she said coldly. "And they're not here to talk. Outside?" The alien skies tore open with streaks of fire. Human warships descended, their cannons blazing with blue plasma. The veiled defenses responded instantly, columns of light rising like dragons from the city's heart. The sky became a storm of fury, human and alien technology colliding in waves of destruction. Daniel rushed to the balcony, heart pounding. He could see the familiar insignia on the human ships, the Terran vanguard, his old fleet. "Stop this!" he shouted. "They'll destroy everything." Sarai stood beside him, her aura blazing. "You think I want war?" she hissed. "It is your kind who never learned peace." Before he could reply, a plasma bolt exploded nearby, shattering part of the balcony. Sarai grabbed him, her power forming a shield of light around them. "You will not die today," she said, her voice deep and powerful. "Why save me?" Daniel asked, dazed. "Because if you die," she whispered. "So do I." The bond mark on their wrists flared white hot. For an instant, both of them felt everything, their hearts, their fears, their memories intertwining. It was no longer two beings, but one, Sarai gasped, and Daniel felt her centuries of pain, the wars, the loneliness, the burden of command. He also felt her secret. She was not just the queen of her people, she was their living core. If she fell, the entire Vial dominion would die with her. When the light faded, Daniel collapsed to his knees. Trembling, "What are we?" he whispered. Sarai looked at him with something that almost resembled tenderness. "We are the edge between creation and extinction," she said. "And the universe is watching, outside." The human fleet regrouped for another strike inside. Two beings, once enemies, now shared one heartbeat. And somewhere deep below the palace, something ancient stirred. A voice that had not spoken in millennia whispered through the planet's core. The cycle begins again. As the bond grows stronger, Daniel and Sarai discover their connection is more than fate. It's a weapon capable of reshaping galaxies. The sky above the Veil capital had turned into a burning sea. Human ships and alien war forms tangled in chaotic motion. The world trembled under the clash of species, and in the middle of it all, Daniel and Sarai stood together, bound by fate and fire. The bond between them pulsed violently now, glowing through their skin like liquid light. Daniel felt his veins hum with alien energy, every heartbeat echoing with distant thunder. It was like something was calling from deep beneath the planet, a presence old enough to remember when the first stars were born. Sarai's face was pale, her golden eyes flickering with pain. "The bond is awakening," she whispered, "and it's feeding on the chaos above." Daniel clenched his fists. "Then tell it to stop before it kills us both." She shook her head slowly. "It doesn't obey, it remembers." A deep rumble shuddered through the palace floor. The glass-like walls rippled like water, showing flashes of another world beneath. the world's true core. Daniel glimpsed shapes made of light and shadow. Vast and ancient, one of them turned toward him, and for a moment he felt it see him, not as a man, but as something unfinished. Sarai grabbed his arm, her grip trembling. "You are waking the Titan," she said, voice sharp with fear. "What Titan?" Daniel demanded. "The first guardian of this galaxy," she whispered. "The one who judged both man and God." Suddenly, the air split open with a roar of energy. A beam of searing white light rose from the depths. Reaching for the sky, the human fleet paused, their sensors going blind. Sarai staggered, clutching her chest. "It's inside me. It's calling us." Daniel caught her as she fell, her body burning with golden fire. The bond mark between them flared, and reality bent. He saw flashes, Earth, Vael, countless worlds falling into a single timeline. A voice echoed through his mind, ancient and powerful. Two souls bound as one, awakened the memory of creation. When Daniel opened his eyes, they were no longer in the palace. They stood in a void of stars, surrounded by floating shards of forgotten worlds. Sarai looked around, awe and terror in her eyes. "This is the eternal vault," she said softly. The memory of the galaxy itself. The fragments around them shimmered, showing scenes of history, humans discovering fire, the Vael forging empires. And then, the two species standing side by side against something monstrous, a darkness that consumed suns. Daniel stepped closer to the vision. "What is that?" "The silence," Sarai whispered. "It devours thought, life, and time," the voice returned, echoing from all directions. "The silence returns, and the bond must choose, preserve creation, or let it fall." Sarai turned to Daniel, her expression hardening. "This is why you were brought here," she said. "Our union is not politics, it's prophecy." Daniel shook his head. "I'm just a soldier, not some chosen savior." Her voice was firm. "You are both. Because you carry the flame." "The flame?" he repeated. She placed her palm over his heart, and the mark between them began to glow brighter. "The flame of defiance," she said. "The same power your ancestors used to fight gods." The void trembled again, pulling them back into the real world. They found themselves in the throne chamber, energy still swirling around them. The walls cracked, revealing veins of glowing metal beneath. Sarai's generals rushed in, their armor humming with power. One bowed deeply. "Matriarch, the silence has breached the outer systems." Daniel's head snapped toward her. "It's real, not just a vision?" She nodded grimly. "It feeds on war, and we have given it a feast." Outside, the storm had changed. It wasn't lightning anymore, it was shadow. Spreading like smoke across the horizon, ships from both sides were falling silent, their engines dead, their lights fading. Sarai stepped forward, her aura blazing brighter than ever. "If we do nothing, everything dies," she said. "Even your Earth." Daniel took a deep breath. He looked at her, this alien queen who had once been his enemy, and realized the truth. She wasn't just fighting for her people, she was fighting for all life. He reached out, placing his hand over hers. "Then we fight together," he said. The bond pulsed once more, brighter, louder, alive. And from the depths of the Vael planet, the Titan began to rise. Its form was colossal, made of metal and energy. Each movement shook the world. Each breath created lightning. It opened eyes older than galaxies, and in that moment, both human and alien forces looked down in awe. A god had awakened, and it answered to them. Sarai's voice trembled. "Daniel, whatever happens next, we must hold the bond." He nodded, his heart pounding with fire. "Then let's show the universe what a human and an alien can do together." As the Titan lifted its colossal hand toward the heavens, the storm of silence met its light and the battle for creation began. The Titan has risen, but can two souls truly control a god's power? Or will the universe itself burn under their bond? The Titan stood like a mountain made of stars, its body glowing with rivers of molten energy. Every heartbeat of the world echoed through its chest. It wasn't just alive, it was the embodiment of ancient judgment, and Daniel could feel its awareness brushing against his mind like a storm made of thought. Sarai floated beside him, her aura flaring brighter than before. "The Titan has awakened fully," she said, her voice trembling with awe. "It knows the bond has been formed." Daniel squinted up at the giant. "Then what does it want from us?" Before Sarai could answer, the Titan spoke. Its voice didn't come from its mouth, it came from everywhere, from the sky. The earth, the very air they breathed. Two souls bound by defiance. One flame to judge the fate of all creation. The human fleet above stopped firing, The alien armies froze in silence, every ship. Every creature felt the same pull, a command that transcended language. The Titan lifted its colossal hand, and a beam of light spread across the stars, revealing every world touched by human and Veil conflict. Daniel's heart pounded. What is it showing us? Sarai's eyes narrowed. Our sins, she said quietly. The cost of our war. He saw Earth, cities burning under alien siege. He saw Veil colonies reduced to ash by human retaliation. He saw both species claiming righteousness and both drowning in blood. The Titan's voice thundered again. You were born to protect the spark of life, and instead, you consume it. Daniel fell to his knees, overwhelmed. The guilt, the pain, it wasn't just memory, it was shared. Every soul connected to the bond could feel the suffering of others. It was unbearable. He shouted, "Stop, enough." But the Titan did not stop. Sarai's eyes glowed brighter. The Titan cannot be reasoned with. It was created to cleanse, not to forgive. Then how do we stop it? Daniel asked. She turned toward him, her voice barely a whisper. We don't stop it, she said. We change it. Daniel looked confused. What do you mean? Sarai reached out, touching his face, her expression softer than ever before. The Titan draws strength from the bond. It mirrors our will. If we fight it with hatred, it will destroy everything. But if we show it unity, she paused, it may remember mercy. Daniel stared at her, realizing the truth. They weren't just witnesses, they were the key. If their connection was strong enough, they could rewrite the Titan's purpose. But that meant trusting her completely. The same alien queen he had been forced to marry. The same woman who once threatened his entire species. He took a breath, closing his eyes. Then let's try, he said. Together. Sarai smiled faintly. For the first time in centuries, she said softly, I believe we might survive. They clasped hands and the bond ignited like a newborn star. The light between them grew until it blinded everything. Daniel felt their memories merge fully now. No secrets, no walls. He saw her loneliness, her endless wars, her loss, and she saw his humanity, his stubborn courage, his hope. Their hearts beat as one. The Titan shuddered. Its vast body trembled as waves of emotion flowed through it. The beam of judgment faltered. Flickering with confusion, unity, it rumbled. I remember unity, but before the light could stabilize, a shadow fell over the sky. From beyond the edge of space, a darkness began to spread. 1,000 ships, machines of the silence. The devourers of stars were descending. Sarai's expression turned grim. The silence has sensed the Titan's awakening, she said. They've come to consume it. Daniel stared upward, feeling the cold dread crawl through him. So even if we survive this judgment, he muttered. We still face extinction, Sarai nodded. Unless the Titan fights for us. The Titan raised its head, its voice booming like thunder over eternity. The silence must not take the flame, it said. It turned its gaze upon Daniel and Sarai. Will you stand as my core and guide my power? Daniel met Sarai's eyes. Together, he said, and she nodded once. Together, the Titan's chest opened, revealing a sphere of pure energy. They stepped into it, and the world disappeared. Inside the Titan's heart, time felt fluid, every star, every heartbeat. Every memory existed at once. Daniel and Sarai stood as one consciousness. The Titan's voice echoed through them. Now show me the will of creation, outside. The Silence Fleet began its attack. Dark energy collided with divine light. The Titan moved, slowly at first, then with impossible grace. Every step it took cracked space itself. Human ships and Veil forces watched in awe as their enemies were crushed beneath radiant power. But deep within the Titan, Daniel and Sarai struggled to control the storm. It was too strong, too vast. The bond flickered, threatening to break. Sarai gasped, Daniel, if we lose focus, it will consume us both, he gritted his teeth. Then hold on to me. She reached for him, their hands locking again. Their hearts beat once more in perfect rhythm, and through their unity, the Titan unleashed a blast of pure creation, a wave of light that tore through the silence armada, dissolving darkness into starlight. For a brief moment all was calm. The galaxy seemed to breathe again, but Sarai's voice trembled. This power, it's too much, Daniel's vision blurred. He felt his mind slipping, his body dissolving into the light. And before the darkness took him, he heard the Titan whisper, the flame burns brightest just before it fades. Daniel and Sarai have become one with the Titan, but at what cost? And can they survive long enough to save the galaxy from the final return of the silence? Silence swallowed the stars for a heartbeat. Everything vanished into light and shadow. Then slowly, the Titan's eyes reopened, vast suns blazing with divine fire. But something was wrong inside its heart. Daniel floated in a sea of energy, weightless and half-aware. He could feel Sarai's presence beside him. Faint but alive, her voice echoed through the current. Soft and tired, "Daniel, can you hear me?" He reached for her hand, their fingers barely touching through the glowing mist. "Yes," he whispered, "I'm here around them." The Titan's core pulsed like a dying star. Every surge of power tore pieces of them away. Their bond was the only thing keeping its mind stable, and that bond was burning out. Sarai's image flickered, part light, part memory. "The silence isn't gone," she said weakly. "Look." Daniel turned and saw it, a black wound in space, pulsing like a living heart. From its depths poured thousands of shadows, twisting into monstrous forms. They weren't ships anymore, they were the silence itself. Living hunger, endless and pure. The Titan's voice boomed through the cosmos. "The end returns." Every world in the galaxy felt that cry on human colonies. Children looked to the sky on Veil planets. Priests wept under glowing temples, and in that moment, both species realized they shared the same fear. Sarai looked at Daniel. "If we fall now, everything ends." He nodded slowly. "Then we don't fall." He reached for her hand again. Gripping it tighter, her eyes widened. "Daniel, your body can't contain this energy." He smiled faintly. "Then maybe it's time humanity proved what it was made for." The Titan stirred, its colossal form crackling with light. "The flame chooses its master," it said. Sarai's aura brightened, wrapping around Daniel like wings of gold. Together, their energies intertwined, one born of flesh, one of eternity, and through them, the Titan began to move again. The silence screamed. Reality trembled as the two forces collided once more. Daniel felt his human heart hammering like a war drum. Every beat sent fire through the Titan's veins. Every thought merged with Sarai's. No longer two minds, but one will. They fought not with weapons, but with creation itself. Stars ignited and died with each strike. Space folded into itself. The Titan unleashed waves of pure existence, turning darkness into radiant oceans. But for every shadow burned away, more rose from the wound. The silence was infinite, endless, eternal. Sarai gasped. "It's drawing power from the void beyond time." Daniel gritted his teeth. "Then we'll go beyond time." Before she could stop him, he dove deeper into the Titan's core, his body dissolving into pure light. The Titan's voice thundered. "Human soul, you defy the limit." "Yeah," Daniel whispered. "That's kind of what we do." He found himself standing in the void again, the eternal vault. But now it was breaking apart, the fragments of creation crumbling. From the darkness, a figure emerged, a mirror of himself but made entirely of shadow. The first warrior, the one who fought beside Sarai ages ago. His voice was calm, almost sorrowful. "You were never meant to exist again." Daniel clenched his fists. "Maybe not, but I'm here now." The shadow smiled faintly. "Then finish what I could not." He stepped forward. Merging into Daniel's form, light and darkness collided. Power surged through every corner of the Titan. Outside, its eyes flared brighter than any sun. Sarai felt the bond roar back to life. "Daniel," she cried, "what did you do?" His voice echoed through her mind, calm and strong. "I became what the universe needed." The Titan raised its arm. Energy coalesced into a single blazing spear, the final flame. The silence recoiled, shrieking as the light grew. Every planet, every species watched as the Titan hurled the spear into the wound in space. The explosion that followed wasn't destruction. It was rebirth. The wound collapsed, sealing the void forever. The silence was gone, but as the light faded, the Titan began to crumble. Sarai screamed his name. "Daniel!" His voice was fading, soft like wind through dying stars. "You have to live," he said. Tears glimmered in her golden eyes. "I can't without you." "You can," he whispered, "because you're the last flame now." She reached for him, but her hand passed through his fading light. "Daniel, please." He smiled one last time. "Tell them we fought together." And then he was gone. The Titan's heart shattered, releasing a burst of radiant dust that scattered through the stars. Every spark became a new sun, a new chance for life. Sarai fell to her knees within the ruins of the Titan's core. Her body trembled, but her spirit burned stronger than ever. For the first time in her immortal life, she felt peace. The war was over, the silence defeated, and the bond that once bound two enemies had saved creation itself. Centuries later, the galaxy would remember that day. They would speak of the human who defied the gods and the queen who chose compassion. And somewhere among the stars, a new constellation would form. Two lights bound together, forever intertwined, and the legend would whisper, "When the stars go dark again, the human flame will rise." He was forced to marry an alien queen 33 years older. But love, sacrifice, and unity turned that bond into the flame that saved all creation.